gentlemen, let's call it bad game or bad sign. Domonique, Foxworth, I'll start with you. Sam Darnold, Sunday. Bad game or bad sign?
I mean, I hate to say it, but I think it's a bad sign. I was one who held out hope and kind of thought that the big game thing, we made too much of it for Sam Darnold, but it's hard to continue to deny the thing that keeps happening. The 2 games against the Rams last year, and of course, the late game against the Lions last year, and then this is the first kind of really major opportunity. We hyped it up all week. This is Sam Darnold's chance, and he didn't throw 1 or 2. He threw 4 interceptions. Like, the fact that the Seahawks defense was so good that he still had a chance at the end and almost led them on a game-winning drive. So, like, he's still very good, but the idea that he's raised to that level of play that his numbers suggest that he is, that still is.
You don't want to do the LeBron with interceptions. Not 1, not 2, not 3. If nothing else, the Rams are in his head, right? I mean, it certainly looks like the Rams.
That's what I was going to say. There's sometimes you just get bad matchups. Teams just play you well. I know for us it was the Chargers. Like Peyton would have bad days against some of those. Sometimes they just get your number and it just goes that way.
They'll play again in the regular season. Next one, J-Mac. Bad game or bad sign for J.J. McCarthy on Sunday?
I'm going bad sign on J.J. McCarthy. And I know he hasn't played a ton of football, but the amount of misses out there throwing the ball, 19 misses when guys are open by 3 or more yards, that's just not good enough. And then this is on top of he's on a roster that was designed to win now, that let go of 2 other quarterbacks for J.J. McCarthy. Under Kevin O'Connell, we had high expectations for him to get out there and perform. We haven't seen that so far this year.
And I mean, there's so many circumstances that are not his making that put all this extra pressure on J.J. McCarthy, right? His entire draft class, they let Sam Darnold go. All these things are not things that are his fault, but they go into the conversation.
Fair, but the counterpoint is, it's freaking Justin Jefferson. Like, get it somewhere near him, and he will catch the ball. To be missing that badly over and over again, I mean, I don't know. It's great that he plays great in the fourth quarter, but you got to get to the fourth quarter with the game still in reach.
And a little bit of touch just seems to be missing on the shorter stuff. Meanwhile, Jeff, let's do one more quarterback. Bad game, bad sign. Justin Herbert blown out in Jacksonville.
Ooh, this is a bad sign for me. Look, you got injuries all over. You know, Hampton's been banged up. The offensive line is banged up. They don't have much of a run game, so they're not built for this. But the Jags had 30 first downs. I don't even think Justin Herbert played 30 plays. Like, that's a bad sign. Like, that's just a beatdown of epic and I hate it for them because we had such high expectations. They started fast, but the injuries have obviously shown themselves, and that's not pretty.
If you see the standings as we speak right now, the Chargers would be in the playoffs should the season have ended after this weekend. And as you see on the right side of your screen, the Kansas City Chiefs would not. 5-5 through 10 games and a date looming with the Colts this weekend. So this was a game that we had been pointing to for a while as, well, this is when we'll find out if the Colts are for real. Instead, we may be looking at a game here, Dan, that is an absolute must-win for Kansas City.
It absolutely is. Look, they went into this stretch. They had Denver last week, then Indy, then they have Dallas on Thanksgiving. They feel like they have to come out of that at least 2-1, which means now they got to win the next 2. And in Denver, I was there on Sunday. I had the sideline duty for the radio broadcast, and Denver was better than they are. Denver's better than they are. They were the better team. The 2025 Broncos are better than the 2025 Chiefs, and it looked that way for almost the entire game. Still, I'm standing there on the Broncos sideline at the end, and nobody was exhaling until that ball went through the uprights because there's still that's Mahomes over there.
Yeah.
That's Mahomes and Andy. The problem is those guys aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Like, you count, like the Chiefs were 11-0 in one-score games last year. They're 0-5 in one-score games this year. That's regression to the mean. We expect that from any team. The problem is the Chiefs are not supposed to be just any team. Right. They are supposed to be the team that, in a close game, they have the difference makers. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes is going to do something incredible. Andy Reid's going to draw up something incredible. Chris Jones is going to finish it off with a big sack. Those guys, to this point this year, have not performed like that in those moments, and that is what's missing. And if that's gone from the Chiefs, then, yeah, they are in danger of missing
left
the
out
playoffs.
Spags is going to dial up the perfect blitz on the third down in the fourth quarter. That's most important. Like, those things haven't happened this year. You have the tipped interceptions in the red zone. Like, I honestly think this team is not much worse or better than the team last year. Yeah. They're a lot less lucky. And, like, when we said it last year, they made us all look stupid all the way up to the Super Bowl. We were like, hey, this team isn't really all that good. But it's kind of having the regression point is like, yeah, those lucky plays, those blocked field goals, it was kind of like poetic, to use a Jerry Jonesism that this last game ended the way that it did because they blocked that field goal to win that game last year against the Broncos.
So as they play your beloved Indianapolis Colts this weekend, what are the feelings? Again, this was a game that I thought was going to be a measuring stick game for the Colts. Instead, it feels like the Chiefs absolutely have to have it.
No, it's a must-win for the Chiefs. It's a must-win, in my opinion, for the Colts as well. It can't be built up more than it is. I mean, you're talking about two teams, one that wants to prove where they are and really needs to keep pace with the Patriots, right? Like understanding that whoever gets home field, that matters, right? And so for the Colts, playing there in Lucas Oil will matter. What you saw from the Chiefs, this didn't just happen. Like this has happened in whether it was Buffalo, whether it's Denver, whether it's Philly. Like the Chiefs, they don't take leads anymore, and they can't run the ball. Their offensive line gets pushed around at times. Every quarterback's kryptonite is pressure, and Mahomes has gotten a lot of pressure. And I'm just telling you, as good as their defense is, their defense isn't as good as the other people's defenses now.
We used to play on the radio. This is a 1 o'clock game, too. This feels like it should be that 4:25 game. Eagles-Cowboys is the big national game, but this obviously is one of the monster games of the season. We used to play a game called Guess the Spread, Colts at Chiefs. Who wants to guess what the point spread is? I'm looking at the number right now on ESPN Bet.
I'm saying Colts favored by 2.
Yeah, by 3, Colts.
Oh, I would say 1.5.
Kansas City is a 3.5-point favorite. What? The Chiefs are a 3.5-point home favorite against the 8-2 Colts.
Are they still the Super Bowl favorites too?
The Chiefs, they fell from being the first favorite, I believe, to third after Sunday.
We had Fortenbaugh here on Friday talking about why were the Chiefs favored in Denver, and the point is, like, if they weren't, then all the money would be on the Chiefs because the public still perceives them the same way.
Yeah.
And I think to some extent, some of their opponents still perceive them that way as well. But we're having weekly evidence that maybe they're not quite the same.
And I feel like last year in that Super Bowl game, I think for the rest of the NFL, you looked at the Chiefs a little bit different when you watch what the Eagles did to them and completely dismantled them. And now we're watching a Chiefs team that's just not making the plays. Rashee Rice dropping the ball, Travis Kelce dropping the ball, Mahomes missing 2 open guys to start the game
and the
on deep
interception
passes.
down.
So it just looks like a different team this year.
I mean, I think teams are looking at them slightly differently, but they're still the Chiefs. I guarantee you that everybody's rooting for the Colts this week.
Ain't no doubt.
The whole AFC is like,
everybody.
Please get them out of the playoffs. Please keep them out of the playoffs.
Started the night on the bench. Here's Lamb wide open for the touchdown.
It's time to lock and roll.
It's just too easy for Dallas.
They have certainly heated up.
End zone touchdown Cowboys.
This is where the legends are told.
That's tipped and picked.
Deep to the middle, caught by Pickens, and holy cow!
This has looked more like the unit that we had seen through much of the early part of the season. And they've just totally controlled this ball game.
Dominant performance on Monday Night Football from the Cowboys, and now things get serious. With all the losses they incurred early this season, they desperately need wins now, and they're going to get tough. Sunday, the Cowboys get the 8-2 Eagles at home. Thanksgiving, they get the Chiefs at home. Then to start December, they get the Lions on a Thursday in Detroit. Can they go on a run? Here's Troy Aikman.
They're better on defense. I mean, you put Quinnen Williams on your defense, you're going to be better. This defense is, if they just get to the middle of the pack, they can go out and they can compete against Philadelphia and Kansas City and Detroit in those games, regardless of where they're being played at. They could certainly get on a run. I mean, you got to look at they got to get to 10 wins is what you've got to look at, and they don't have any margin for error. So this was a game they obviously had to win, and they got to win next week against Philadelphia.
That's the one everyone will start taking them seriously. Look, you beat the Raiders on a Monday night, and people aren't going to make a very big deal out of it. But what did you say to us about the Cowboys and the Eagles this Sunday?
Don't let the Cowboys win that game because you know about the NFC East and weird things always happen.
This is unbelievable, bro.
2 years ago, the Eagles were 10-1, and it looked like it was over, and they were going to repeat as champions. And then weird stuff started happening. The Eagles lose to Arizona in like week 17 when Arizona's out of it. I'm telling you.
And I'm
Don't
telling
let
you,
the
everything.
Cowboys win that
Please don't
game.
let that happen again.
Let me show you some more history. That's one bit of history. Cindy, can we show them C8?
Ooh.
Here's some history.
Ooh,
Dak
C8 is with me.
Prescott is 21-2 at home in the division. That winning percentage is the best by any starting quarterback since the merger. He hasn't lost a home divisional game since 2017.
Dang.
He is 6-1 all time against the Eagles. Domonique Foxworth, do you believe?
I'm starting to believe. I want to believe because nothing will be funnier than if Dan gets the gloat. And also, Cowboys, us not having to manufacture reasons to talk about the Cowboys, let them really be good. That's what we all really want. Be competitive. And this team, I think what Troy said, he said it right. They can compete in these games.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, they could not compete in these games. Are they going to win all of them? No, but I expect that they will be in the game in the fourth quarter against all three of those teams coming up if this defense can continue to show like it did.
And I think we start to ask the question, like we're saying, go and make a run. Are we saying that these Cowboys can be competitive in every game, or we're saying that they can make a run for a playoff spot?
Yes.
Like, are they in chase for a wild card? Because you look at it, the teams that are in front of them right now, you're talking about the Green Bay Packers, the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions. We're saying that they're going to jump all of these teams for a playoff spot right now when they're 4-5-1. I think they are much improved. They're going to compete. They're going to be in all of these games. I don't know if I'm ready to say that they got a shot at the playoffs.
Hey, common sense. We'll hold the line.
Someone's got to do it.
That's right.
Common sense would hold that somebody would have repeated as division champion at some point in the last 20 years. That's all I'm saying. Weird stuff.
Right.
Look, the defense only has to be okay. Like, it only has to be passable. The offense is elite. They can absolutely be competitive in these games that they have coming up.
And there's sneaky, huge news coming out of Philadelphia. Again, it's the Eagles and the Cowboys this weekend, and Philadelphia will play that game without right tackle Lane Johnson, who suffered a Liz Frank injury during Sunday's win over the Lions. It is not expected to be season-ending, but he could be added to injured reserve. He's been an All-Pro each of the last 4 years, and the reality is, you don't usually hear this about right tackles, but when he plays, they win, and when he doesn't, they lose. Since Lane Johnson came in the league, the Eagles have won 66% of their games when he plays, and they're 9 games under 500 when he doesn't. Jeff Saturday, you're my offensive line expert. Just how significant a loss is this?
This is massive. And listen, in their run game, they'll find ways to adapt. You can kind of do those things. In the pass game, he's one of the few that I've ever seen at the right tackle position where you just put him on an island, you're like, go do you. And he just locks dudes. Go back and watch he and Hutchinson this past week. Like, his technique is insane, and I'll say this for quarterbacks. We always talk about the left side tackle, the blind side. The reality, though, is the right tackle provides a lot of shield because stuff doesn't flash in their face as much. When quarterbacks are dropping back, they don't have to, their eyes don't get taken away. When he's not there, it matters because guys get pushed into the pocket, get pushed into Jalen Hurts. All of a sudden, balls are errant. Bad things can happen. I had the Eagles at 1 all year. I would actually say the Rams literally because of this injury.
When you hear Jeff saying that, that is relevant to the pass game. All we've talked about is whether A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, how is Jalen Hurts going to get these guys more involved so that they can be a prolific offense? Now you lose Lane Johnson, and you're talking about the protection part of it and things flashing in front of Jalen Hurts' face. That doesn't help me feel better about the Eagles and him finding ways to get the ball on the outside to his weapons.
So this is the part of the program where I, as the host, am contractually obligated to question a team that is the defending Super Bowl champion and currently the #1 seed in the NFC. But it is impossible to watch them play offense and not say something isn't right, and eventually it has to catch up to them. It just has to catch up to them.
The important framing for this conversation is that no one is saying the Eagles are not a very good team. They are. The standard is, can they win the Super Bowl again?
Yeah.
That's it. And with this offense right now, it's hard to imagine them going on the kind of playoff run that they went on last year. Can they get it together? Sure. Do they have champions in that locker room? They absolutely could galvanize and get it together in time. It's got to look different on offense than it does right now. And it just has to.
Appreciate is that the most important and best player on that team last year was the offensive line.
Yeah.
That was the most impactful thing. And that has not been the same all year long. They lost some players, there have been injuries, and that as good as Saquon was, the reason why they were dominant was because that offensive line was incredible. You take away their best asset on offense and it's not gonna look the same. They haven't figured out how to have life after having a completely overpowering offensive line. And now the offensive line gets a little worse. You lose that one-man biker gang that is Lane Johnson playing at the right tackle, and it makes it a lot tougher. I think Jeff said you can go away from running the ball. You like that?
The smile on his face was unbearable.
I'm consumed by the statistic on the screen. They've scored 26 points in the last 2 games, their fewest in any 2-game span in 6 years. They won both of them against good teams. They won both of them against teams that you figure they will probably see in the playoffs. They beat the Packers and the Lions in these back-to-back games. So it's so hard. Honestly, I feel like an idiot sitting up here saying, what's wrong with the Eagles? But the reality is something is wrong.
And that's the hard part because we look at their record, but then when you dive into who the teams are, that they've already beat the Rams.
All of them.
Who Jeff just said is his favorite team in the NFC right now. Exactly. And I know the way they won that game, the block, I get it. But they found a way to win against very good football team. So, yes, the way they're doing it is not sustainable to a certain extent. But you also could argue if they continue to sustain and dominate the way they're doing it on defense, they don't have to score 25 points.
Here's the thing that no one talks about, and you talked about it before when you talked about the Chiefs and Andy Reid. Nick Sirianni, 40-2. 40 wins, 2 losses when his team wins the turnover battle. 40-2, bro. That ain't lucking into wins. 40-2. This team has morphed. We always talk about how do teams find ways to win. That's what makes a team excellent. The Eagles, okay, so their offense isn't as nearly as prolific as it was last year. Well, now our defense will hold 2 of the top, quote, offenses in the league, the Lions and the Packers, to under 10 a game. They're going to find ways to win. There's a reason that they've lost 3 of their last 27 games, y'all. It ain't by luck. It is by design. And if they don't turn the ball over, which means maybe it's not Jalen, A.J. Brown, and Devontae, but they do just enough and the defense plays the way it will, this team is not going anywhere. They are an excellent football team, and I don't care what everybody says about is there a problem. Winning is a mindset and it's a culture, and Nick Sirianni doesn't get nearly enough credit for what he's done as a head coach in the league.
Yeah, he definitely deserves that credit, but I don't think you should feel silly asking this question because they are saying it also. Like, it's not that it's just we're pulling it out of nowhere and cooking it up. They seem frustrated offensively, and I know A.J. Brown is the face and the spokesperson of it, but it doesn't feel like he's alone. No. There's not a bunch of people coming out saying A.J. doesn't speak for us. A.J. needs to be quiet.
Right.
There's a lot of people sitting around like, look,
somebody had to
exactly.
say it.
That's the other thing. Like last year, we were having these similar conversations about the Eagles, and they got it together. They went on a Super Bowl run. They won the whole thing. But the year before, we were having these same conversations when they're sitting there at 10-1, and things didn't look right with the offense, and stuff was bubbling up behind the scenes, and then they fell apart. That's only 2 years ago with a very similar group here. So to assume it's going to be last year instead of 2023.
And the year before they go to the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm going to say this. Jalen Hurts, and I understand the frustration, but let me just say this about the Jalen Hurts experience, because everybody's going to put this at the quarterback. This dude has learned, he has a new offensive coordinator every year. He learns new language, and people are like, that shouldn't matter. It matters in the NFL. It is hard. Peyton Manning had the same offensive play caller for 13 or 14 years. Tom Brady, same play caller. When we talk about like consistency with a quarterback and with an offense, that stuff matters. Yeah. And so it's going to take time. The problem is we have these expectations for 30 points a game. They're probably not going to average that, but they're going to find a way to get enough done. And Jalen Hurts does enough of the little things right that allows this team to stay in position to win games. There's a reason they're the best team to me in the NFC, right? And I said the Johnson thing, I would probably put the Rams if they played today, but we'll see how that offensive line kind of comes together. I ain't writing this team off. Like, this is a good, very, very good football team.
No one's writing them off. I mean, they're the number one
for
seed.
the Super Bowl. Yeah, Super Bowl. Like, I think they're that good.
That neither. But let Dallas beat them on Sunday.
Oh my word!
And then
I'm off on Tuesday. I'm off on Tuesday. I'm off.
Dallas, you got to show up.